My name is Alysson Moutri, and I'm a neuroscientist here at UC San Diego. I use brain organoids to model disease and to find better treatments, better therapeutic opportunities for people who are suffering from neurological conditions. So I'm coming from a family that are descendants from Italians, so we have lots of those in Brazil. My family was not poor or rich, we're kind of a middle class over there. And none of my family members were actually into science or STEM. Something that I think was very transformative in my life was that I was born with a genetic defect. So my entire leg was twisted to the other side. I was born that way. So it took several surgeries to correct that. And most of my early childhood, and even like on the teenager years, I was in a wheelchair or in bed. I mean, I was in a dilemma, right? Because I couldn't play or do sports as my other two brothers were doing. It's so unfair that I was born with this genetic defect. And there is one vivid moment when, I mean, after like 2 or 3 surgeries that I was able to walk alone. And I was in a street fair with my mom, and I saw another person with the same genetic defect. But was in the streets. I mean, was really poor, obviously couldn't afford to do the surgery that I just have done. And I said, see, I mean, so life is so unfair because I had the opportunity, but that guy couldn't do it. I realized that I need to contribute to that somehow. I need to make these kind of treatments and cures available to everyone. So that was, I think, deep in my mind. I need to have this large contribution. So I was reading a lot. More and more reading, more and more stuff. And that's when I realized that I should go into STEM because that's where the big answers are. I said, yeah, there are people who develop the treatments and cures, and these are the scientists. And then I said, yeah, that's it. That's what I want to do. I love mathematics. I love physics. But biology was the one who really connected with me. So college was a transition point where I realized, okay, now I'm in the place or the environment that people are like me. After graduation, so I already knew what I want to do. I want to become like a scientist, and I want to do neuroscience. And I did like a PhD on cancer biology. And after the PhD, that's when I moved for a postdoc in neuroscience in US. So I got that fellowship, and I went to a lab in Harvard. And then I remember feeling that, wow, now I'm in the right environment. I feel like a kid in a playground. I said, wow. And then, I mean, from Harvard, I took a couple of weeks to explore different labs across the US until I arrived in San Diego. So 1 year later, I was able to get a fellowship. So I have to come back to Brazil and wait 1 year, improve my CV. I need to publish more papers, kind of work hard to that, and apply for this fellowship. Got the fellowship. I wrote a project, and that's when I start my postdoc training at the Salk Institute. And 6 years after that, I got my first faculty position at UC San Diego. So they create like a small room just for me to work with embryonic stem cells. So I start growing that, and I start learning how to make brain cells from these stem cells and become really good at that. So it definitely put me in a different position. And that's what being in the right place, in the best environment, helps you. So I think my advice to young people is always look around and say, is this the best environment that I could be? And you should be always in the best environment. Think big, because the more big you think, the more multidisciplinary you're going to be, and that will force you to look for things that are different, expertise that you don't have, and it will force you to connect and be unique. You don't know what's going to be important or not in your life, but at that time, I mean, if you are in high school, if you're learning something, just do your best and try to absorb as much as possible, because again, you never know what's going to happen in the future. Even when you don't think that you're going to need it, you might need it. So my advice would be not to waste your time. Just absorb as much as possible.